One other aspect, Perplexity Labs, that I'm keen to explore how it can be used within the spaces that I've created for, in particular, Cedric, my AI-driven research assistant for DIY investors. Without more ado, I'm going to switch over to Perplexity and we'll give it a go. Let's see how we get on. Okay, so we're now in Cedric's space within Perplexity, and he's already been given a system prompt. So what I'm going to do is pop a subject in here and ask Cedric, using Perplexity Labs, to create an in-depth report. The topic I'm going to put in is this: please provide an in-depth analysis of the gold and precious metal sector, focusing on gold and silver. We need a space in there. There we go. With specific reference to the gold-silver ratio and how this changes in the context of the economic cycle, specifically before, during, and after a recession. Be sure to list all citations with clickable links and create suitable graphics to illustrate your findings. I've selected Labs by clicking this button here. I have selected Web. I'll click Academic as well, just so that we pull in those resources. I'm going to go for all time because I want to go back as far as the internet will allow me to go back. I'm not going to attach any files. Let's see how it gets on. The time on my computer clock is 09:56. That's British summertime. And I'm going to click it. And as you can see, it's gathering sources, compiling data, and creating your project. And it actually tells you what it's going to do. You'll see here, it's going to gather relevant data, scholarly insights, gold and silver markets. What you'll find later on is that it will create tabs along the top so that I can access the different attributes, particularly any assets that it creates. An asset for Perplexity Labs is a chart or a table or any graphics that it produces. And you can see it's looking for financial market data and so on all the way down. I'm going to keep scrolling. I'll edit this video because it'll be a bit like watching paint dry for you while it's doing its thing. Let me say, if you want to see more videos like this of me carrying out in-depth use case analysis, experimenting to get the best out of the technology to give us DIY investors an advantage, or put it another way, to put us on a par with professionals who are very definitely using AI, I think we can develop our own models. And the best bit about that is it'll be tailored to our own individual needs. I'll carry on scrolling down. It's still saying 4 minutes left to gather sources, compile data, and so on. Note that it's doing programming, and will have any code that it creates will be available as an asset too. You can see it's now created an asset tab up at the top. It's got some diagrams, tables, and let's go back to Labs and watch it working again. It's generating historical gold-silver ratio data, and of course you could then subsequently modify the appearance of any of these, and it's creating a line chart to visualize the historic gold-silver ratio over time. As I was saying, if you are interested in seeing how I'm using AI, then you might consider joining our community of DIY investors, diy-investors.com, if you're an investor yourself. If you're just interested in the technology, then we've got a sister website called diy-investors.ai. Both of these have got channels on YouTube. Both sites have free membership. Paid membership, which only applies to diy-investors.com, goes into more in-depth detail and gives you access to monthly webinars where we discuss all things related to the stock market. Rather unusually, it includes a question and answer session at the end where members are able to ask me anything and I respond in real time. We pull up charts or anything that you may want to look at relating to a stock that you're querying. We can do that using ShareScope and also have access to Stockopedia as well for the UK market. Let's just go back. Perplexity still beavering away, still using Python programming, still looking at gold-silver ratio and recession periods. Now it's creating a line chart. It really is working hard in the background. If I wanted to tackle this subject, first of all, I've got to go and find the resources, the data on the internet. How long would that take me for this particular topic? And how would I select what to look at? How would I then analyze it and produce something meaningful to present to anybody else, or even to create a document for my own use? A tremendous amount of work being done in a very short space of time. You can see at the top, it's saying about 2 minutes left. Although we're not looking at one particular company, we're looking at a sector of precious metals, and in particular, this ratio of gold to silver. You could use this for anything. It's only available with Perplexity Pro. I'm not sponsored by Perplexity, but I think it will give significant advantages to us as DIY investors using it, not necessarily by itself, but in combination with other things. We're creating a detailed bar chart now, how the gold-silver ratio varies across different phases of the economic cycle. Well, that could be interesting. I've not seen anybody do that elsewhere. It enables you to provide information tailored to your own needs. And if that involves something that's not been done before, then clearly it's quite capable of using Python programming behind the scenes to go away and do that. It's saying it's got a minute left to gather resources, compile data, and create your project. It's creating a data set, as you can see. Now, this data set might not exist anywhere else other than as an asset for this query to Perplexity. It was 9:56 when we started, I think, from memory. It's now 10:08, so it's been going around about 12 minutes. Very happy with what it's producing so far. We'll go over to assets again, and you can see, let's just follow it down. Lots and lots of data being provided without taking time to study each of them. But I think the fact that it produces these assets, which I can then use, I can create a document for my own use or to circulate to members. I can put this into our DIY Investors research database, which currently exists inside Notion. I might just click over to that and show you that. As you can see it here, I could put a query in here for gold, and it'll bring up all the references to gold, where gold is a tag. You can see different things mentioned. Some previous analysis in here using Perplexity and Perplexity Spaces. I could click and open that full screen, and this is actually a output from Perplexity Spaces, and this has got Sarabi Gold full year results versus forecast comparison. Previous example of how I've used Perplexity Spaces, but we'll go back to where we were with our existing experiment, and let's scroll down to see where we are. A huge amount of information that's creating charts and things still. Been going now 14 minutes, and this is a huge project that I've asked it to do, creating multiple assets for me to use. Let's scroll up and just give you a reminder of what the prompt was. Please provide an in-depth analysis of the gold and precious metal sector, focusing on gold and silver with specific reference to the gold-silver ratio and how this changes in the context of the economic cycle, specifically before, during, and after a recession. Be sure to list all citations with clickable links and create suitable graphics to illustrate your findings. So that was the prompt. It's finishing up now, so I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and as I scroll down, you can see it's listing the citations, and we'll see whether it's actually writing the report. Here we go, we've got the report coming. In-depth analysis of gold and precious metals, gold-silver ratio through economic cycles. And it's got the historic context, and we've got some dots in here about it being fixed by Roman, fixed by US government, gold standard, post-gold standard, and so on. This is going back to literally year dot, fixed by the Romans. It's back here. I'm not sure exactly what date that is, but this is BC, so it's 0, 500, 1000, 1500, 2000, and most of the action is in here. We've got the assets being put into the report, early recession, deep recession, recovery phases, silver's resurgence, gold and silver during and after recession. And the code here is at the top, as you can see. During the recession is the bit in the middle which doesn't show up. Now I could prompt it to change that, which I might do in a moment. Investment strategy implications, supply and demand fundamentals, central bank policies and precious metals, risk considerations and outlook, and conclusion. As I put my risk warning in, do your own research. Cedric, Mixed Research Assistant, June the 1st, 9:56. That's when I prompted it. It's now 10:15. So it's taken 19 minutes and it's produced a comprehensive report with all the citations listed. I can then ask follow-up questions, and that could also be me getting it to tweak one of the assets that it's produced, which was this one here, because these bars here representing the silver during the recession don't show up very well against the background, so I could perhaps amend that. I can download all the assets from here. and all the assets are then contained under that tab at the top. This is equivalent to an app with its own menu here. We've got the tasks, they've all been listed out. We've got the images here being listed, different images. As I use 93 sources, they're all linked, so you could go away and check any of them if you were wanting to check out their validity. Now, I did go back and change the color on this chart, as you can see. It involved a couple of iterations, and it's come up with a chart that reads a bit easier on the eye because the colors stand out from the background, and that gets added to the assets as well. On the right-hand side, we've got the gold and silver recessions illustration. You can see an iteration on the left that I wasn't happy with, and it's replotted it. Note that the assets are kept separate from the earlier session using Perplexity Labs. I didn't talk to you about how we can view the whole report, but up here on the right-hand side, we can choose to change it to a different space, convert it to a page, export it as a PDF, export it as Markdown, or export it as a docx. I'll quickly just show you export as a docx, and I'll just double click on that to open it. There we go. We've got the charts included, the text, diagrams, all the way down the page. And because the original wasn't particularly easily visible, the silver against the background color there, I've changed that. I could swap that out if I wanted to. You can see that this will need a little bit of formatting. We'll follow it all the way down to the conclusion, and then it's got the citations as clickable links at the bottom. So it's a particularly useful format. It then does go on to change the chart, and it's got the different versions of the charts down here. So it's included everything. So that's how to export it as a docx. I'll quickly show you convert it to a page, because that's another useful feature of Perplexity. And then, having created the page, gold and precious metals analysis, you can see it's generating a web page, and that will give me a unique URL that I could share with anybody. You carry on down, looking at the different economic cycle patterns. It's still writing it, it's still formatting it at the moment, so you could click to any one. So if I want to go click back to the introduction, click to economic cycle patterns, I can go there, and so on. Very useful feature, and I can add sections as well into here. I can add media, very useful format, and follow-up questions, of course, get suggested as well. So this is all within the structured prompt area of Cedric, my AI research assistant for DIY investors. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Perplexity Labs. I, for one, am an avid fan. That's it for now. See you again soon. Bye for now.